Hi, coaches and parents. Welcome back to CourtTag. I'm going to show you a quick breakdown of what the stats are, what they mean in CourtTag. A lot of letters and numbers and stuff. I thought I'd just kind of walk through it from my perspective. That's the guy who built the software. Give you an idea what all the stats mean. So I'll start right when you first load into CourtTag. We'll start with those and then I'll get into the reports. So this might be helpful if you're really curious about stats, but all the abbreviations here. So I do, under the help user guide, I have put quite a few there, descriptions, locations. So there's some things there that you can get in there. And as I add more tools to the system, I try to update that section as much as I can. So user guide under help. But let's just start with the very first one, the team report, because that covers most everything, and then I'll kind of get into some specific game ones. Outside of season, which is something the coaches use to kind of define between different teams from one season to another. So there's a couple seasons here, right, on my database. The first acronym is GP, means games played. So I'm a coach for this particular team. I played 6 games, and these are the 6 different opponents that I played against. So our record is W for wins, losses, and ties. PPG stands for points per game, so it takes all the points that we've scored divided by our games, and that gives you the average. Opponents' points per game, that's the number of points our opponents scored against us during those games, averaged over 6. And then last game. So these things are kind of sortable. Not that it's a big deal, but let me go, for example, the fall-winter here. If you are doing CourtTag for all your teams and all your systems and all the games, which you could theoretically do, I don't know any crazy coaches who'll do that, but maybe you're just really curious and you watch the other games or record the other games and tag the other games, you can actually find out everybody's information all the way across. But for me, for my team, for my fall-winter, for example, these were the teams, and you can see what we played 11 games, won 4, lost 7, tied none, our points per games. So if I wanted to sort this out, I could kind of see who had the most points per game. It wasn't us, it was Ogden. They were a really good team that year. Holston, Wilson, who ended up actually winning the gold medal. Not really high points per game, but good at keeping everybody's score down. So opponents' points per game. Again, this is versus us. So if you look at this thing here, when you're looking at stats, you're always comparing it to the group of people. In my case, these other teams. So let me go back to my spring team here, for example. So that gives you a quick definition there. Players, if you go to the Players tab, they have the same sort of breakdown. Games played, points per game, last played. And then games, again, home guests. These are all pretty straightforward. So let me open up the team, and that's starting to get into more advanced stats here. So let me grab my team here, links for my spring team, and this is one of the early reports. So one of the things I did, because this one might be viewed by parents as well as coaches, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to show you guys it in the new web share viewer. So just so it shows a little differently, because this is what the parents are most likely looking at. Same for coaches. No, that's not what I needed. That's what I needed there. There we go. So this is a team report on the viewer, the website viewer. You can get that from your coach if you're a parent. That's asked for the unique code. If you're a coach, you already have it. So let's go over these stats here. So you can see I'm going to scroll right here a little bit. So the team reports have a lot of acronyms, little short letters that basketball players should familiarize themselves with over time. Basketball parents can take a look too. They're very common industry terms. CourtTag has a couple little quirks in how we show the information. Hopefully that makes sense. But as far as what this tells you, or tells you as a parent, it's important to understand that with any statistics, are very sample based. So you're only dealing with, in my case, this report only has 6 games, so it's not a lot of data. So even though one player may have a higher shot percentage, or another one might have a lower shot percentage or points per game, 6 games is not a ton of games for a sample. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're looking in, you're comparing, especially if you're trying to compare players. Yeah, some kids will stand out for certain attributes and others will stand out for other attributes, but the sample size is pretty small. So, and remember, these are youth, they're not consistent. Pros might take a look at these stats a little bit more seriously in terms of your points per possession is really low or whatever the case is. But I'll talk about this first. So what stats are kind of team stats, and then there's individual stats. Some things can be broken down only by team, and some things can be broken down only by player. So let's start with the games. I'll start with there because I want to make sure everybody understands what the letters stand for. So in this one, opponent points. That's just the opponent. So they're for on this particular team, which is Leduc Lynx up here, their opponent points only scored 20. We scored 82 on that particular game. Possessions are how many times you possess the ball in offensive possession. So Lamb will have about 79 possessions. We'll have 79 possessions, and then that determines how many points per possession we make. So Leduc Lynx, we scored 82 points on 79 possessions. So every time we had the ball, we averaged about 1.04. So if you're wondering what points per possession stands for, if you go to Basketball on Paper by Dean Oliver, they talk about that stat quite well. It's sort of an advanced stat that helps coaches see how efficient they are whenever they have the ball at scoring. And 1 point per possession is really, really high, especially for youth. That was a particularly not a strong team against us. But if you go down here, the team we played right next, Burroughs, for example, they held us to roughly half of that points per possession. They were a way better defensive team. You can see our points were actually we lost that game. They had more points than we did. We had way more possessions, so it was a higher pace game. So possessions vary, length of the game, number of turnovers, how quickly they shoot, whether they walk up the ball or it's a press type of thing. So possessions are important coach metric. It also helps kind of evaluate one team versus another. But here we had way more possessions, scored way less. So you can tell the defense was stronger. Second thing is 2 PM. So 2 points made. So these are shots. These are not points. These are how many shots that were worth 2 points. Typically called field goals, or although those mix in the 3-point shots. But these are 2 point shots only. So against Lamb, we scored 37 baskets out of 75 2-point attempts. So for our 2-point percentage, we scored 49.3% 2-point percentage. And then you can see the next game, it was harder for us to score. They had better defense. We only scored 28%. The game after that, 42, 30, 63. And you can see of the 63%, we were at 100 points over 82 possessions. So we scored very well from 2-point possession. So this tells you kind of how good a team is, how good you are at scoring 2-point shots at least. And it kind of also tells you how good the other team was at keeping you from scoring 2-point shots. 3 points, very similar. 3-point made. So against Lamb, we took 5 shots total. 1 of them went in. 11 attempted. 3 of them went in. So made versus attempted. So those are our percentages. So you can see we're kind of hovering in that 20 percentile. At the bottom here of this report shows the average for the team for those over those 6 games. FT stands for free throws. So the free throws, you get your penalty shots, right? Free throws. There's your effectiveness there. Same ratio. Attempt made versus total attempts percentage. This one is called free throw frequency. So this one's a more advanced stat. It tells you how many times for all the shots that you took and how many times you went to the free throw. So some teams are really, really good at getting to the free throw off trying to take shots, and they get fouled on shooting. So this is either from the other team getting too many fouls kind of during the game and getting into bonus, or from you taking your players trying to take a shot and they get fouled taking the shot. So for all the shots taken, all the field goals attempted, both the 2 points and the 3-point attempts, that's your free throw frequency. Free throw frequency is a ratio of that. So the higher the number is, the more often you got to the free throw line relative to how many shots you took. Okay. I skipped over this column because this one's called effective field goal percentage. So effective field goal percentage is a mixture of all your shots made 2 points and 3 points, as well as weighing your 3-point shots a little heavier. Because 3-point shots, you get 3 points instead of 2 points, so you get 50% more points. So it's a factor that tells you, between your choices of shooting a 2-point shot or a 3-point shot. If you're really good at 3-point percentage, in some games we were, obviously, it helps improve your overall scoring, effective field goal percentage by scoring a higher scoring shot. So effective field goal, it's kind of a coach's term, but the higher that number, the better you're going to be scoring. And like that game, we scored 100 points. we had a pretty good field goal percentage, even though we actually did score a single 3. It was all really high 2-point percentage. Okay, you can see that's why it goes down. So our 2-point percentage was 63%. We didn't hit any threes. We only took 3 that game. We really didn't need to. They let us in the key too much. So you can see we scored 60% effective, that weighted value. So I talked about frequency, offensive rebound percentage. We're a pretty strong team for rebounding. This may not be typical for other players, but other teams that you see. Some of the teams we played against, they were in the 30s. So of all the offensive rebounds, so whenever there was a rebound on the court that we took a shot and we missed it, how many of the rebound that comes off that shot, how many times did we get possession of it again? So you can see against a weak team, 60%, 61.5% of the time, we got that rebound. So if we missed a shot, we were very likely to get that rebound off our missed shot. Versus Burroughs, we only got it 40% of the time, but still pretty good. But they took care of their defensive rebounds 60% of the time better, right? Defensive rebounds is how many times the other player shoots, and we got the rebound, not them, that were available. So these aren't like shots that went out of bounds or anything like that. These are shots that there was a rebound, somebody had to grab it. We grabbed it most of the time. So you can see against Ryan, they did a pretty good job of getting offensive rebounds on us because they had got roughly half our defensive rebounds. That means they had a second shot. And you can see that there. Total rebounds of all rebounds made. So of the rebounding game, who controlled it? And you can see the games where we scored a lot. We were very much in control of the rebounds. So this is one of the big stats outside of effective field goal percentage. This is offensive rebounds and turnovers are two of the big stats that coaches look for how well you control that game. You know, did you take good shots, make good shots, and did you control the rebounds? Because if you don't, you give too many people second chances. Personal fouls. See, these are players' personal fouls, PFL. Okay, that tells you how many fouls you got that game. You know, vary a little bit. Youth basketball, 10, 11 is very common. If you have very low fouls, it's either a very easy game or you weren't taking enough risks. You're being too passive. I find that, anyways. Other coaches may have their opinions on that. So you can see we're not a super high fouling team. The other teams tend to get a little higher. So how much you average per game here, for example, 9, kind of normal. Assists. So assists are scored in basketball is if you get past the ball and you score off that pass without dribbling, the player who gave you that pass gets scored an assist. Now, I'm a little more generous. I'll allow a dribble. It's youth basketball. Not necessarily like a layup, dribble, double step, but like if they're in the key, they get past and they kind of dribble so they don't travel and put it up. I'm pretty generous with that. So that's my stats. Other people are more strict, whereas if they dribble at all, it eliminates the ability to give the player that assist. But this is like the one pass assist. So we score pretty well, again, because I'm a little more generous with it compared to other coaches. T over stands for turnover. So these are number of turnovers per game. I'll talk about more advanced stat later on. So you can see we average around 22.5, which is actually not bad. Spring team hasn't been as hard as some of the other teams that we played. So when you're looking at possessions, so I'm going to back up a bit. When you're looking at possessions, so we had the ball, let's say this time against Lamb, 79 times, but we turned it over 17 times. So it means we had a lot, that's why we didn't score a ton of points per possession. So the times we did score, every time we had to turn over, our points per that possession for that turnover was 0. Right? Makes sense? Same thing with this here. You can see we had we turned over the ball 26 times. They actually put a press on us in the fourth quarter, and Burroughs was really good at turning it over too. So we won this game, lost this one. We turned it over a lot, more than our average. So these guys managed to get us to turn over the ball either through travels or through steals. And that's what turnovers tell you. So that's another big thing to understand is if you turn over the ball too much, you don't get to score. Turnovers mean no scoring. Steals, that's how many steals we took. So that's kind of a combination of two things. So those are live ball steals. So for example, we have a player on our team who's really good at stealing the ball from players. So not deflecting it out of bounds, not forcing them to get a turnover, but intercepting a pass or tipping their dribble and then stealing the ball. Exactly what you think it means. So every steal we get is a turnover for the other team, okay? But not all turnovers are steals, right? That makes sense. Some turnovers, you throw the ball out of bounds. It's not a steal. It's not like a live ball steal. Blocks are block shots. So these are not like deflected before they leave their hand. This is the ball's out of their hand. Somebody got up there and swatted it away. So not all blocks are steals. Not all blocks are rebounds. Blocks are separate. So when I track blocks, it's we're not particularly, or my spring team's not a particularly high blocky team, but I keep track of that because sometimes I do have a guy on the team that's very really, or two that are really gifted at blocking shots, and it makes a huge difference when you can. The other player goes to shoot, and it's a big guy in the key swats it out, swats it or tips it away, and it discourages them from driving against those guys. So blocks are good to track too. See which players are good at it. This is a field that not everybody has, but I keep track of. It's called charge. So in basketball, if you're in a defensive stance and you attain what's called legal guarding position, where you can look that up, and somebody runs you over, basically knocks you down, the referee can give that player that knocked you over, the offensive player that knocked you over, a charge. I like keeping track of it because it's hard to draw. This is a defensive credit, sort of like blocks is like you stop them from scoring. Charges, you also stop them from scoring. So even if they score on you when they knock you over, they get the foul, the player that knocked you over, and they lose their basket. And so it's a big stat. This team is not good at drawing charges. It's a little challenging with teaching charges to youth basketball in the spring because it's such a intense number of games for the season. I just don't want to injure my players by having them stand in front of their big guy charging. But in fall, I certainly do teach charges, and we show them how to do that. So this team didn't draw any things. DFL stands for deflections. So this is a good little how active involved are you defensively. So this means when you're on defense, if you manage to tip the ball, not steal it, not block it, but tip it and cause a disruption on the other team. It's called deflections. This is where I track it. So that's another thing team CourtTag can track. Certain players are really, really gifted at this, and they can just blow up a play by tipping it. You can also deflect it to other player, and another player on your team can get the steal, and then that player that got deflected from gets the turnover. So turnover percentage. So this is your number of turnovers, okay, compared to how many possessions you had. So you can see against weaker teams, we don't turn it over very often. Stronger teams would turn it over more often. It's kind of very normal. Stronger defense will get you to turn over the ball more often by speeding you up, or by tipping or deflecting you, or just outright reading your play and stealing the ball. So there you go. And then ATR is assist to turnover ratio. So this is how many assists you make by a ratio over turnovers. So turnovers are a good indication that you're being sloppy with the ball. Assists are a good indication that you're moving the ball well to scorers. So your higher your assist to turnover rate, usually the stronger your scoring chances are. And again, another good stat to kind of keep track of. So we are all over the board. Some games against weak teams, we are obviously very good passing because they don't anticipate. Against strong teams, we turn it over a fair amount compared to how many times we actually get an assist. So there you go. Those are those acronyms. So I'm going to go down to shot quality. Something added in build 46 for CourtTag. It's again based on if you look at the Savvy Coaching has a good example. They use a number of 9s, 9, 7, 8, 5, 6, 4, 3, or whatever lower. They use a number system. I use a letter system for shot quality. So A is like elite shots, like wide open, non-contested. Nobody's around you. You shot it really, really well. Very high shot percentage, and you can see that that's the case. This is where every time someone takes a 2-point or 3-point shot, not a free throw, but a 2-point shot or a 3-point shot, in CourtTag, I tag it, give it a quality. So A is like the best possible you could get. It's rare. You can see the columns here. I'll go over that for a second, but I'll go over the qualities first. B is we had a significant advantage when we took that shot, and it was a good quality shot. So the shooter was in balance, didn't take any extra motion, didn't take any extra time, wide open or barely contested, B-level quality. So you want that. And I'll show you why later. C is sort of your average for that age group, that division. average, every A shot. Not necessarily the best balance, not necessarily uncontested, usually somewhat contested, that kind of thing. D is like, oh no, I really wish you hadn't done that. Like circus shots, what I call circus shots, or completely twisted turning shots, or shots that you just know that if they take too many of them, we're going to lose the game. It's not going to go in. So that's what shot quality means in terms of how it's scored. The coaches will score that, and that's subjective. I don't know of any AI that does that, but you try to be consistent with it. That way, when you're doing that over multiple games, I got 6 games worth of data here. It helps me to tell the kids, hey, are we shooting? Are we shooting a lot more of the higher quality shots? Are we hunting better shots in the game? Hunting shots. Savvy used that word. I think it's a great word. So let's take a look here. 2-point makes, 2-point attempts, 2-point percentage. That's all the same as what I have here. So this is broken down by the shot qualities. Field goal made, field goal attempted. So field goals are 2 points and 3 points combined. So you can see we had 18 and 1, so that's 19 total field goals. So all the shots we took that were not free throws, and then your effective field goal percentage, that includes your 3-point. So that's we talked about earlier. But for A quality shots for the 6 games, we scored 39 points worth of them. So obviously 1 3 and a bunch of 2s. Points per possessions for that game, for all the possessions that we had, that's how many points that average. So you can see that our average point per possession is point. Our best one is 1.04. Our worst one was 0.55 for the entire game. But whenever we found an A shot, wide open shots, we scored, almost pretty much the full 2 points, give or take. Right? We missed a few of them, but not all of them. Total points taken. TPT means of all the points we scored for all the games, which is right here. So we scored 430 points on shots that were assigned shot quality. The A level shots accounted for 9% of all our points. Okay, but that's total points. A total of points taken. Total points taken. Percentage of total points taken. Total shots taken. Of all the shots that we took, and we took a lot of shots, total all the field goal attempts, we took 500 shots in 6 games. 4% of them were A-level shots. So we didn't get a lot of A-level shots. 4% of them, but it still accounted for 9% of our total score. So B-level shots, which are what we're trying to hunt. A's are hard to get. B's are achievable usually if you're just patient enough. They account for half our scoring, but we've only shot 28% of our shots were B-level shots. So we could probably do a lot better converting, trying to get ourselves to be a little more patient, hunt these shots a little bit more often, because they end up giving you way more points for that possession. We score way better. We scored 80%, and every time we had a good advantage, we scored way more. 2-point percentage, even our 3-point percentage was really respectable. And our effective field goal was this is astronomically high. So yes, the more you can get these. Now the defense on the other team's going to have something to say. They're going to really try to take down the times you can score that, right? By playing good defense, we're going to reduce that. But that tells you kind of what you're at to. Okay. C-level shots, average shots accounted for, not surprisingly, about half our shot attempts for the total game. Only 36% of our score. Our points per shot was 0.63. Not awful for you 13 boys. This is under 13, 11, 12-year-olds, grades 7, 8 kind of thing. But you can see that we really, really drop from the other 2 levels. And then D, as you expect, we took 93 shots. Actually, not 93. We took there was some D-level 3-point shots. We took 98 shots over 6 games that I wish we hadn't even taken. We scored 0.09 points per shot. Our shot percentages were abysmal. So these are shots that were not worth taking. Almost not worth taking, because they accounted for 2% of our score. We got a whole whopping 9 points off 98 shots. So the fewer, you want to minimize these. This is probably a more important thing for your coaches. Is don't take circus shots, right? Make sure you're in range and balance. It could be contested, but not heavily contested. Things like that. And then obviously there's one shot I couldn't see. I couldn't give an evaluation, A, B, C, or D. So it's sort of just letting me know kind of the way scale. It wasn't a lot. It was just basically three shot attempts that are not shown in the one A, B, C, D quality, but still in the data. All right, shot location. This is pretty straightforward. I color charted its code. So free throw is not free throws. Those are free throw area, which is right there. So just inside the 3-point lines are the 2-point shots, but above the paint high. So paint high, paint low, short corner left, short corner right, outside corner left, outside corner right. So outside stands for outside the 3-point line, obviously 3-point shots. Short corner left, right. I guess I could have called it short top. I called it free throw. Paint low, paint high. So we can see how much of our shots as a team do we take in the paint, for example, which you expect it to be high. We're a big team, 50%. Paint high, 16%. Free throw, we shot 12 shots from there, made none of them from that free throw. So we don't have we haven't found a guy who's able to convert right from there. This is short wing left. I'm missing the code here. I'm going to have to update that. SWL, and it's short corner right. Must be an old picture. So short wing left. We scored better from this corner than we did from this corner for whatever reason. So their defense tends to be, most times when we shoot from here, it's from a handoff or a screen, and we get open here. And most shooters are right-handed shooters. They tend to score better from left-right footwork. When they dribble, they tend to plant left-right, shoot. Their shoulders are lined. There's a lot of science behind which direction you move with the ball and which handed shooter you are, right versus left. Anyway, so between that, I'm not surprised that we shoot a little bit better from the left. Outside wing left, we ironically, we shoot worse on the outside wing. Maybe a little more wind up. I don't know. Our kids are still pretty small. They're still working on the 3-point shooting. As a team, our 3-point shot percentage for higher skill, not super high skill, but high. Not a gold level team, like to say silver, bronze level team. Our 3-point percentage is 22%. Again, I got some pretty young boys there. I got some 10-year-olds on my team. So, okay, so scrolling down next. So the next one here, the only difference between this one and the player one that I already covered, these are all the same stats. Okay, the only difference is number of games played. So you've got to watch here. Some of the players were injured or sick, and they didn't play all the games. So Locke was sick for a couple games, so he only played 4 games. Kudu played 5. Matthew played 6. So games played. That's all 2 points made, 2 points canceled. Those are 2-point shots, 3-point shots, effective field goal weighted, free throws, free throw percentage, free throw frequency. So this is where you have a team stat and then a player stat. So you can see which of my players get the free throw the most from shot attempts. So free throw frequency, right here. Sorry, free throw factor. Pardon me. Let me fix this here. Back up again. Free throw factor. Remember I told you that for how many times they take free throws based on the number of times they actually try to shoot. And you can see right here, Locke, a great example. Locke is a standout. He gets to the free throw more often than any other player on our team. Zane's getting close. Bentley's our guard. He gets there. They don't foul him as much as I want them to because he's a pretty good free throw shooter. But Locke, who shoots from free throws at 38%, gets to the free throw line 0.42 times every time he shoots, takes the shot. So people like to foul Locke. He gets to the free throw a lot. Part of the way he plays low. He's a power forward. And the way he does his footwork, he tends to get whacked before he puts it up. And he's not a terrible free throw shooter for our team. Sebastian's our best one, and he gets to the free throw frequency pretty decently as well, not 0. Max doesn't drive that much, so he almost never gets fouled. Bentley drives a lot, but he's really slippery, so he tends to avoid the fouls. Although sometimes he gets fouled, and they don't give him the foul. And then Fletcher is one of our big boys who gets whacked quite a bit too. And there you go. You can see a free throw frequency. So this is a player. This is the player specific now stat for free throw, not just a team. So you can see who's standing out. Points per game. And then in the rest of the stuff, this is a quantity of how many times they did it. And then in the brackets is points per game. Sorry, average per game. So if Max played 5 games, he got 1 offensive rebound. So his offensive rebound per game is 0.2. Okay. Again, he's usually on the outside. He's a shooting guard, a 2 guard. He got 4 defensive rebounds, so not bad. 1 per game. Personal fouls 4, so 0.8. So let's go down to Bentley. He's one of my stronger players. He's my point guard, my 1. And he's interesting to look at because he has a really good shot percentage. He's a good driver, good mid-range shot. He's working on his 3-point shots, pretty good, not bad. He's still can get a little better there. But a really high effective field goals percentage. Only Clark slightly bit better. Then free throw frequency. So, but look at his points. So of the 6 games he played, he scored 127 points, 21.2. Now he played for me in fall, and his points per game was more like 9. So he's had way bigger impact in our spring ball against the teams that we play, and he's gotten better, legitimately gotten better. And you can see he's scoring a lot. That's very, very high. The closest next to him is Fletcher. And then everybody else is sort of in the middle of the pack there, and then a few beginners. Lucas is a beginner and Max is a beginner. They're underage. They're playing up, so they're right where they should be. Very, very happy with these guys. They're doing just great. And Matthew is a first year guard who's still working on getting a little more aggressive with the ball. But for example, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. Who's the strongest guy on our team for offensive rebounds? That is Clark. He scored 43 over 6 games, average 7 per game. So he's our rebound total and rebound per game leader for offensive rebounds. Defensive, it's inverted a little bit. Sebastian's more defensive rebounds. He's got 28. He's pretty balanced. Average 4 per game. And then one of our other bigs, you can see here in that pack, he's in between. He's a little less defensive, more offensive rebounded minded. Personal fouls per games, assists per games, turnovers per game, steals per game, blocks per game, charges per game, deflections per game, and assist to turnover ratio. So this is where you can see where your point guards can get in trouble. So my point guards, because they're carrying the ball a lot, Bentley carrying the ball a lot, has 31 turnovers compared to anybody else. That's very, very high. Max is a young point guard in development, a little undersized, but he's doing great. So it's normal for your point guards because they're handling the ball to take they take the most risks with the ball. They get the most pressure from presses. Don't be too beaten up on them if they're getting 5 turnovers a game. Like, obviously, you want them to do better than that, but it's not awful, okay? Because, look at his steals per game. Bentley has been stealing the ball like crazy. 8 steals per game. That's something coaches don't see when they evaluate him, but he's really, really good. Deflections, 20 deflections, total 3 per game. His assist to turnover ratio is 0.77. So he turns it over a little bit more often than he gets for assists, but still very, very good for a point guard. Zane is the only one in the same ballpark for guards. And then Matthew, who takes a less amount of risks. Risks. Matthew, you got to take more risks. But you can see that he's really, really good at protecting the ball. So he does not turn over the ball very much for a guard. He's one guard. He's our second one guard for our spring team, and he got a lot of assists. The ratio is good, almost 1-to-1. So he'll get assists as often as he'll get his turnover. Very good characteristic for a ball handler. He holds his own for steals. He can work on his deflections. My best big for assist to turnover is Locke, who I told you gets to the free throw line a lot. Well, you can see he has a 2-to-1 ratio. So he's assisted more often than he turned it over. So, Locke, I know sometimes you think you're tough on yourself, kiddo. You are very, very good at handling that ball. So, Locke is a guy who was a point guard on some teams. On my team, he plays either a small forward, power forward, center, or whatever I need him that game. And because he's really solid all around. So, this is where you can kind of see the stats. Everybody got to know, parents. I know this is a long video, but just keep in mind, stats lie. They don't tell you why things are happening. They just tell you what happened. You got to kind of trust your eyes and your eyeballs to see why you think it's happening. So that's the stats for based on the team report. Now, all the other reports, I'm going to open up. Let's open up Locke here. So this is Locke's report. So these are games he played. He only played 4 because he was sick there. So you can see his individual stats for him broken out per game. So you can see which games he was stronger and weaker on, where he matches up. You can see Locke's particular. This is Locke's only. Under the player report, his shot quality. So Locke took of his total points shots taken, He's held his own against the team average for A-level shots. A quarter of the time B-level shots, that's not bad. A quarter of the time not really great shots, probably out of balance, twisted, so he's got to work on that. And half the time they're kind of average shots. Okay, where he likes to shoot from, no big surprise, is short corner right. He tends to play dunker right here, or paint low, which is right there. Okay, so let's compare that. So that's Locke, that's our guard. Let's compare him to one of my. Let's compare him to Zane. One of my. He's a 1, 2, or 3. I played Zane as a 3, a small forward off the corner, and as a point guard lately. And he again played 4 games, similar to Locke. And you can see his ratios here. His field goal percentage. He played for me in fall. His spring numbers are way better. He hasn't hit a 3 yet. He's only tried twice. His field goal percentage is nice and strong. His free throws are needing some work. He's got to work on that shot form for his free throws. But you can see steals, pretty decent. Turnovers pretty low. You know, solid guy. Still working on everything, but really talented. And you can see that his, he takes a lot of regular shots. Same B. And he actually gets open pretty open. Like he manages to get ahead of the ball. So his A-level shots, we want him to take a lot more. But you can see when he gets them, he gets them in the bucket. Really good job there, Zane. Where he likes to shoot from are paint low. So he drives into the paint quite well. That's where he scores pretty much everything. Pretty much everything is in the paint low. So he either drives from the corner or wing. He gets there very efficiently, and you can see that his 50% 2-point percentage is pretty nice. So that's Zane. Okay, one more. So I covered player, I covered team. Let's grab a game specific report. Most of the fields are going to be the same. Points. Let me scroll down and just cover things we've already covered real quick. So this is broken down. Game reports break down things by quarter, and then by home team and guest team. So the home team on this game was Pullum, and my team was guest team that particular game. Okay, and that's because the game sheet is broken out home and game. So that's why it sorts it this way. So let's go to Pullum. They had 90 possessions, points per possession, effective field goal, turnovers. That's how many turnovers percent. For 90 possessions, they turned it over 36 times. So something like 40 possessions, they turned over the ball. All right. Then offensive rebound percentage, they didn't get much of the offensive rebounds against us. Defensive rebounds, we got most of their defensive rebounds compared to them. They could have done better there. Total rebounds, they were a little weaker rebounding team compared to us. If you look at our total rebounds, we're 60% to their 40. That should make sense. Free throw frequency, we did not foul them very much. They didn't have guys that would draw fouls very well on shots at least, and we didn't foul them too much to get the bonus. And then assisted turnover rate, pretty average. Nothing bad, nothing great. Okay, then compare it to ours. Right, we had slightly higher assisted turnover rate, way higher points per possession. So their points per possession right here, 0.68. We were 0.91, which is why we scored more points and won the game. We had less turnovers, better around the same field goal percentage. Right, their field goal percentage was 42. They hit a couple, at least 1 3. I think 2 3s. We hit 1 3 or 2 3s as well. So you can see we're very similar in stats. They're not a weak team. I wouldn't give them that at all. They're a strong team. They did a lot of things right, except for rebounding a little bit, and maybe their field goal percentage being 2 or 3% might have made enough of a difference at the right time. So these are the advanced stats. So we showed those on the team report. Okay, they are summarized for home and guest team, so you can break them out. You can see the individuals for that particular game, similar to what we did in player reports. This is for the game, so don't have to go over all that. You already know that. So this is quarter. So the only difference with this one is if your games are in halves, it'll show half 1 and half 2. We do quarters out here, or periods. You can see the points we scored that quarter. So we were guests, so we scored 18 to Pullum's 15, 16 to 15, 27 to 9. You can see this, we pulled ahead, and then they pressed us in the fourth. and they gained a point, but it was too far. 2-point shot frequency, you can see they had a real big drop in the shot effectiveness. Our defense got better, I would argue. Didn't give them as many second shots. If you look at the offensive rebounds they got, so they went from 3, right, and we didn't get a lot of offensive rebounds. They got more than us. But you can see on the very first quarter, we got a lot more offensive rebounds than they did. So these are per quarter. So sometimes when you're looking at a game, you want to break it down. This is a first quarter home guess. And then this is a score at the end of the quarter. So at the end of the quarter, it was 15-18, second quarter 30-34, third quarter. So you can kind of see the cumulative score. Okay? And you can kind of look and see, okay, in that quarter, what happened, right? How many assists did they get versus us? How many turnovers? So you can see they turned over the ball a lot in the second quarter. That didn't help us. And we turned over the ball a lot more in the fourth quarter. Watching the video from their press, we managed to get sloppy. We had less players that game, less guards there that game. So we were relying on people who were new. Anyways, just to cover this for the parents, everything else is the same. Okay, all this stuff is the same. Shot quality is, again, for their team for that game. So you can, if you want to know, they didn't shoot any A-level wide open shots, which is good. I look at this from the opponent, right? I don't want my opponent shooting A-quality wide open shots. I want them to shoot as few B-quality shots as possible and as many C and D shots as I can get them. So half their shots were regular shots. 50% of their shots were kind of average shots, decently defended shots. A third of their shots were they managed to generate an advantage, which is good for them, bad for us. Look at us, look at our stuff. A third of our shots we matched them about there. We didn't have any A wide open shots either. You see how few people, we only had 7 players that game. 7 players, 8, 7, C level shots and D level shots. So we took fewer, basically they're very similar. If you look at them, 30, 50, 14, 30, 50, 17. So we took a few more clown shots, probably got more offensive rebounds that let us take more lower quality shots, but still make enough points to win. So there you go. That's everything. That's all the stats. Long version. If you wanted to hear all this, hopefully you played me on faster speed or something. But if you that was versus this team. But if I wanted to see how we did versus the team we lost against, I can do the same thing, and I can look at those advanced stats and I can compare them and see why that is. Right? Oh, it's taking a second to load. Let's try that again. Oh, there they go. Let's try again. This team we lost. There we go. So you can see we were again guess there. You can see we were ahead, and then we got behind, and then we got really behind, and then we caught up. Right? So we were ahead by 4, then down by 5, then down by 10, and then made it within 3. So you can see as we went along, kind of our shot percentage in that second quarter just dropped. We were just not hitting nothing. We took way more shots and missed. So that does happen in youth basketball. And then this same thing, it continued. Our woes continued again. So we lost 5 points here, lost 5 points here, and we had a 4-point advantage going in. So it was like 9 points. You can see the points that they scored. And then here we surged back in the fourth. We started making better shots, more shots. I think we pressed them, and we were able to get more turnovers. No? Yeah, they got more turnovers. Yeah, we got more turnovers. We got more steals, just slightly. But it was mostly our shot percentage. Free throws were a bit of a factor, but not much of a factor. But you can see we clawed back in, but we didn't manage to win. So if we hadn't had these 2 quarters of really poor shooting, for whatever reason, could be we just took bad shots, or they rushed us, or they had good defense. And they had exceptionally good shooting. 56% is really good shooting. So we did something that let them shoot well, and they hit 1 3, and they hit 2 threes here. So they were hitting 3. We hit 2 threes too. So I guess we kind of zeroed it out. So you can kind of see the story in the quarters sometimes better than the total game. You can kind of remember what happened there and take a look. And then so this is just a comparison. Then you can, again, the main stats. They scored 0.57 points per possession. We scored 0.55 points per possession. total rebounds, we out-rebounded them. Stale, free throw frequency, we went to the free throw line more often than them. We had a better assist to turnover ratio, but our turnover percentage was better than theirs. But in the end, they shot better. They shot 43%. They shot 42%, and we shot 30%. So shot quality in basketball matters a lot. So there you go. That's a long description of everything. I hope you found this useful. Again, check out things like Basketball on Paper and other websites for more descriptions on how this stuff works. Take care.